Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
If you're looking for the best basketball talk in the universe, you just found it. This is Deep Hoops, where fans are the host. Tim Brayboy, Troy Ramel Royal, and me, your point guard, Jehudi. We're talking basketball, all basketball, and nothing but basketball. So sit back and enjoy the best basketball talk in the podcast universe. This is Deep Hoops.
Well, welcome to another edition of Deep Hoops. I am the Minister.
And I'm Rob.
And we are going to talk a little bit of NBA. I know you're looking for Tim Brayboy. He's not with us tonight, but he said he was going to join us on Facebook Live. So we're going to be looking for his shout outs. We also have in the audience the beardless one. My godson, Beefy Keith Eccleston, he's here in the audience. But we are going to get started talking about the game that we love. And we always tell you, we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game that we love. And we are at, 25 games in?
About
so
a
quarter of the season is under wraps. And so, I was looking at the NBA. There have been nothing but surprises in the first the quarter of the season. What are some of the surprises for you?
Well, I'm going to start out west.
Okay.
50% of the teams that made the playoffs last year are not in the playoffs this year at this point in the season. And you're talking about Houston, San Antonio, New Orleans, and Utah. That's right there. Never mind the four unexpected that's there. But just the fact that those four teams, and Houston won the conference last year.
Right.
Utah became like the darling of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
San Antonio is the steady Eddie of the league.
And I said that they're not going to make it, but anyway.
And New Orleans has a player that everybody wants to root for and see do well.
And everybody's saying that he's the best and he's...
Right.
You got to make the playoffs. I don't care if you're in the West. You got to make the playoffs.
Unbelievable. So to me, that's the biggest surprise right now.
Okay, so that's the biggest surprise. 4 teams, 50% of the teams that were in the playoffs last year are not in the playoffs this year. But how about a Sacramento who's now technically out of the playoffs if the playoffs were to begin today? And I suspect that they're going to continue to fall. They're not going to stay where they were at. But was that a surprise to you? For Sacramento to come out and begin the season on such a high for Sacramento?
That was a surprise. But the biggest surprise of the Sacramento Kings is that they're enjoying their biggest success to start a season in over a decade. And then there's turmoil between Divac, the head coach, and one of the assistant coaches, where the assistant coach is trying to go behind Yeager's back to become the coach, and Divac is calling him into the office. And as soon as there's a meeting in the principal office, the team started floundering.
Oh, come on. They got to see. Bad franchises. We talk about that all the time. Bad franchises figure out ways to lose. Even when they have a winning formula, they figure out ways to lose.
And Sacramento has enjoyed some success, and probably their most success since the Weber and
Divac
and
White Chocolate or Baby, right.
And for this to occur, unbelievable. It's like James Dolan getting involved with the Knicks right now.
Bad franchises. And that's the thing that worries me about the Knicks. It hasn't happened. James Dolan has been, a good owner, and he's just stayed out of it. But there's always that chance.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me about, the Knicks and free agency, because I know players have to be thinking that. And, so Sacramento, how about the Clippers?
Yeah.
You talk about the 4 teams that aren't in it. How about the 4 teams that replace those 4 teams?
Well, you're talking about the Clippers, Denver, the
LA,
Lakers, and Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, of those 4, I said it on this show, and I'm going to stand by it only because I said it. I said the Lakers won't make the playoffs. That looks like false. But
okay.
they look like they're going to make the playoffs. But the Lakers, Denver are locked to remain in the top 8. And I think the Clippers is close to a lock to remain in the top 8.
You know, with Doc at the helm, unless they have a major injury, and who would the major injury be? Because they're a team, so it's not relying on any one player. But I would imagine, what's his name? This forward, Tobias.
Well, here's the thing about Tobias, and I'll say this: you got Tobias,
Gallinari.
you got Beverly, you got Avery Bradley. They're all playing on expiring contracts. And I don't know if they're playing to win or playing for the money, but whatever they're playing for, it's helping that team. And then you always got Lou Williams, who's always going to be a 6-man candidate, but at some point, he got to be an MVP candidate too. You know, and it's hard to say a 6-man can be an MVP candidate.
Isn't he shooting like 35%?
But he's their MVP. He's their MVP.
You know, is he their MVP or is it the team as the MVP?
I think he's their MVP. I mean, he brings something in.
Gallinari has been playing some very solid basketball as well.
He's the veteran. He comes out there, he starts, he comes off the bench, he plays both backcourt positions, whether he's handling the ball or off the ball. He does so much for that team. He's like their MVP, and their unsung MVP is Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, but I want to ask you guys out there on Facebook, if you're out there, who is the MVP for the Clippers this season? If you're following basketball, what's the name of your group on the Knicks?
New York Knicks mob.
The mob folks. I know y'all are New York Knicks mob, but be a Clipper mob for a second and give us an answer. Who's the MVP for the Los Angeles Clippers? But, I mean, you named the teams that are currently set up to be in the playoffs. That's a surprise. And the 4 teams that are not in the playoffs, I named a couple of other surprises. Boston not doing what we expected them to do.
Wow.
That's a surprise.
Wow. I didn't see this struggle coming, but now that it has happened, I understand the struggle.
What do you see as being the struggle?
I'm going to tell you what it is. You got 8 players on that team that needs 30 minutes a night in order to get the best of them. So, you know, we always talked about Golden State's roster always being deep with talent and this and that, and it has been. But their talent that was deep, that was on the bench, they are bench talent. They're not starting talent.
Iguodala?
Iguodala is the only one that may be a starter, not now, but early on,
right.
Yes. But when you look at Boston, I'm going to name 8 people. Horford, Tatum, Hayward, Brown, Kyrie, Morris, Rozier, and Marcus Smart. All of them are starting.
The last 3 that you named are coming off the bench. They could be a 6-man.
Actually, Hayward is coming off the bench.
Right. And he should be. He should be.
He should have came off the bench
starting the season. Yes, he should
to work himself in. But my point is this. You had Rozier in the lineup, and it was a game away from the championship. You can't get the best of these guys if they're not getting 30 minutes a night. And I think that that's where the struggle is, because they can't fight a way out of a slump. They can't get themselves into a rhythm because there's 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out. 6 minutes in, 6 minutes out.
Okay, so what you're telling me, the man that we've anointed as the best coach in the NBA is showing some of his some of the areas that he's lacking. Because, listen, you've got to get these guys to buy in. It's about the championship. That's what it should be about. And you get them to buy in. When Rozier is talking about, I need more minutes, we have a problem. And that is not a Rozier, it is a Rozier problem, but that's a bigger coaching problem.
And that's the thing. How can I say? I still think he's one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the game. But to your point, he had to gather these people and gather these players and say, listen, you're coming off the bench. You're only going to play 15, 20 minutes. This is your role. I need you to accept it so that we can grow as a team compete for a championship, and be better. He didn't need to hear Rozier coming out with that comment.
No, not at all.
I'm surprised Morris hasn't come out with the comment yet.
But I think Morris knows that, he's a contributor. I think Rozier started hearing, believing the press clippings. But I've said it all along. I think Rozier is solid. But as a starter, he's a Bledsoe. He's a Reggie Jackson. I think if he goes to another team and he's the focal point and the star, you're going to see he's not as good as you thought he was in that system.
I don't think that he's looking to be a focal point, and I don't think he will be a focal point on anybody's team. Like, for instance, if he was to take a contract and went to Phoenix. No, I just think that what he is, he's a guy that deserves to get 30 minutes somewhere. He's a guy that in 30 minutes is probably can give you 15 and 10, and on a breakout night, every now and then gets you 25 points. But he's not no Kyrie Irving, no Kemba Walkers, no Curry's, Westbrooks, or none of that. He's a good
solid.
He's a good point guard on a team that has some options.
But see, that's where it goes back to Brad. Brad is now have to sell them on. Listen, everybody's going to sacrifice. Everyone is going to sacrifice, and the fact that he went with basically his son in the basketball and Hayward. And put him on the bench, everyone has to sacrifice.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. I don't want to lose sight of it because we look at it as a sport and we look at it from a fan's perspective. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And with guys like Morris and guys like Rozier that's in their final year of a contract, they know their money is dependent on their minutes. And if they don't get the minutes, they can't get the stats that can earn the money that they can get. Win, lose, or draw, whether Kyrie averaged 15 a game or 30 a game, he's getting a max contract. Rozier's contract is going to be determined on his production.
I'm sorry.
So, I think that's what Rozier is looking at. Every minute he's on the bench is costing him money on his contract.
Well, and I get that. I understand that. But what he has to understand is, if they don't win a title or if they're not going deep in the playoffs, who are you? Go deep in the playoffs. Be a major contributor. People are going to see. Scouts know. The GMs know. They know what you can do. And don't worry. The money is going to come. Winning will bring the money. Losing and complaining is not going to help you make that money.
Let me ask you a question. Based off of what we saw of Terry Rozier when the season ended last season, how much per year you think he was worth?
I'm not good at that.
I think he would have clearly gotten a 4-year, $80 million deal.
All right, so $20 million.
Right, and right now, I think he's probably pushing 4-year, 48, 4-year, 60.
Now, you said what he's worth in the open market. I think that he's worth 12 to 15 million regardless. That's what I think of him. I mean, I don't see him as, like I said, he's not the focal point. And in a point guard driven league, he would be one of the worst starting point guards on any team.
I wouldn't say that.
All right, let's name the teams.
He'd be better than Moutier.
The Knicks.
Phoenix don't have a point guard.
All right, so that's 2.
Rozier,
that's 2.
He'd be better than the kid Forbes in San Antonio right now.
But that's due to injury.
Yeah, okay.
That's due to injury.
Okay.
So I'm just saying.
DJ Augustine in Orlando.
Okay, that's full. But once again, is he better than Curry? Is he better than Kyrie?
No.
Is he better than Harden or Paul? We could go on and on. Now you named the bottom feeders.
Would you rather have him? Would you rather have him starting with the Clippers over Patrick Beverly?
I don't know that.
I think I would.
I don't know that.
I think I would.
Here's the funny thing. I wish we can get Doc Rivers on the phone because what he brings is defense.
He does.
He brings grittiness. He brings toughness. He's a veteran. Byron and I had the same conversation. I picked Beverly over Brad. What's his name?
Rozier.
Rozier.
Well, here's the thing. Little do we know, a lot of times, Beverly is not closing games out.
Right.
Williams is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you know, if you got a starting point guard, he's got to close.
It depends on what you're looking for at that point. And now
He's,
Beverly is not an offensive threat.
He's not.
But he is your defensive threat. And we'll be right back. All right. So Beverly is, in my opinion, more valuable. And here's the thing. Rozier, like Reggie Jackson, like Bledsoe before him, will get his opportunity to show what he's worth. And we can come back and see, I'm not that one. If I'm wrong, and if I said something and I was wrong, I'll say, yo, dude, I'll eat humble pie. I was wrong. That's just my opinion. But what do we say? We're not experts. We're passionate fans.
So
that's it. All right, so we talked about the surprises. I have another way of phrasing that about a specific situation, but I'm going to come back to that. Who's your MVP at the quarter point?
Man,
now, Beefy said that it's hands down, it's Kawhi.
Yeah, we're watching some good basketball right now. I think for me, Giannis is hands down right now the favorite for it. Kawhi Leonard is second. I'm going to throw a name at you. And I know he's probably not on nobody's radar, and he probably is not going to get a vote. But there's no way you can overlook the value that Mike Conley Jr. brings to the
I was on Memphis. I thought maybe you was going to go with Gasol. But
it's no way. When this guy is injured,
right.
They're a lottery team. Mm-hmm. Gasol is tradable. Mark Gasol, that is. He looks like maybe retirement is coming. But Conley comes back in, he changes the whole team. I mean, he revitalizes Gasol. I mean, he plays good ball to begin with. He's like Russell Wilson of quarterbacks.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I was talking about Russell Wilson, and I know I'm changing gears here. I'll take Russell Wilson over Cam Newton all day. Okay. Just because the guy, he seemed like he just makes everybody better. He makes the right plays. He doesn't make mistakes, and that's Mike Conley. He just seems like he plays mistake-free, and he makes everybody's game easier.
It does. And I mean, with him, look at where they're at.
Yeah.
Without him, look at where they were at.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And to me, that's what a valuable player. That's the most valuable
but see,
player.
I think there's no doubt he's the most valuable player for that team.
No doubt about it.
Now, how far they go will determine his value in the league.
Right.
So if they stay, where are they now? They're top 5?
I think they're 6.
Yeah, they're 6.
They're 6.
So if they stay 6, yeah, he may get a vote, 2. If they find their way to 2,
top 4,
3.
But here's the other problem he's going to have. He's not going to be a top 10 scorer. He's not going to be, he's probably a top 10 assists easily. But he just won't have those gaudy numbers. You know what I mean? But if we're talking about what is the definition of most valuable player to their team,
I don't think anyone knows that.
I mean, it shouldn't be about numbers only.
Right, it shouldn't be.
It should be about what, like when Nash won that first award over Shaq. I mean, the Lakers lost 20 more games and Miami wins championship. I mean,
right.
How is not Shaq MVP?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's the difference. One team flounders, the next team
goes. Yeah.
So, but that's Michael Conley right now. And I know, listen, I'm not suggesting he's the MVP, but he should be considered. The guy makes a difference in that Memphis team.
So your 3 are, you said Giannis, Kawhi.
And I'm going to tell you, it's probably Joel Embiid.
Embiid, yeah.
Then Curry and Conley gets votes for me.
Curry definitely. I mean, some people say all the games he missed, but look at going back to that Conley point. Yeah. Look at what they look like without him.
Without him. So those are my top 5. I mean, I'm reaching with the Conley, but I just think he deserves recognition.
All right. So, and who's your rookie of the year?
It's got to be Doncic, man.
Yeah, I mean, right now,
oh my goodness, man.
Right now it looks like, and Trey is playing well. Who else is relevant?
Jaren Jackson Jr. is playing
for Memphis.
Well. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Actually, he probably goes ahead of Trey.
Yeah.
He goes ahead of Trey. He's playing extremely well right now. Wendell Carter Jr.
And now with the firing of
Holbert. Right.
That I think, I'm going to say what Stephen A. Smith said today. Honestly, he should have never had that job.
Yeah. Something about the Chicago owners, they like coaches from Iowa State. Remember they brought in the other guy who replaced Phil. That didn't work out. Then they bring this guy in. And, they got a lot of young players over there. Maybe a college coach is kind of way to go. But I just never liked them there. I never want to see nobody lose their job, but it was long overdue.
It was way overdue. It was way overdue. And I know I don't root for anyone to lose their job, but, getting fired is inevitable in the NBA. Except for Pop, it's going to happen. Pop is going to retire. He's not going to get fired. I think that's the only one that you can say that about. Brad Stevens one day will get fired. So that's your Rookie of the Year. Here's the question. We just talked about coaches. Right now, who's your Coach of the Year?
Mike Budenholzer. I love what's happening in Milwaukee. He's just putting them in positions to win. He's got them playing with a sense of confidence that, it's just a good story there. I'm usually not one that has the Coach of the Year and an MVP in the same a player for MVP, but of that same team. But I think it's warranted here. And quiet is kept. A lot of people are gonna go with Nick Nurse in Toronto. I'm not going to go with Nick Nurse.
They were number one.
Yeah, and he was there last year as well. But I'm going to go with, for number 2, it's a toss-up between Doc and Dwayne Casey, man. What Dwayne Casey is doing in Detroit's looking like a different team somewhere.
They are.
And I got to give him respect. And Doc Rivers, man, he may not have an all-star. He may not have an all-star on his team this year.
Right.
And in the way he's
got... He definitely doesn't have a superstar.
Right. He's coaching his tail off.
Here I am. I'm going to be the straw that stirs the drink this time, if you don't mind. You talked about you didn't see them. Beefy talked about he didn't see them. And they're right in the thick of the playoff race. Why isn't Luke Walton a Coach of the Year?
Nah, I don't see Luke Walton being...
Wait a minute. You saw him being fired. They're number 6. Why isn't he considered for the Coach of the Year?
Because he ain't coaching.
Hey, who's coaching?
Hey, you don't see Rondo over there coaching?
Oh, come on. Now that he's not coaching. Now he's not coaching.
You don't see Rondo? He drawing up plays.
Luke Walton is my vote for the Coach of the Year. Nah. And then after that is Doc Rivers and Casey.
But I'll tell you another person that deserves a lot of credit. The head coach of Denver. His name doesn't come to me right now.
Malone.
Brendan Malone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job in Denver. And the funny thing about Denver is that they're without a point guard. They have a big backcourt. Jamal Murray is really a 2 guard that's masquerading as a point guard. Sometimes, a lot of games, Nurkic is leading them in assists. So it's they're doing it by committee over there. It's a good story. They missed the playoffs by the last game of the season last year. But they won't be missing it this year.
Right. Quick, before I go to the next point, a couple of other surprises. Orlando is a surprise. What they're doing now, they were a surprise last year and they fell out. I see them falling out again. But a quarter of the way through the season, for them to be in the playoffs, even though it is the East, that's a bit of a surprise to me. Washington is a surprise that they're not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Of course, we talked about Houston not being in the playoffs. That's a surprise. And I think that's it on the surprises.
I caught some flack on this on Facebook in a Nick chat room that I belong to. I said that New York should trade Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, and Frank Ntilikina to the Washington Wizards for Bradley Beal and Jason Smith. And the reason why I said that is that, first of all, Courtney Lee is not part of the future. From the eye test, Ntilikina, he's not going to be much. And Tim Hardaway, Bradley Beal is an upgrade than Tim Hardaway. Jason Smith is an expiring contract. The Knicks will immediately gain $3.3 million in cap space, and then at the end of the season, when Jason's contract expires, they gain an extra $5 million. So they will cap net an extra $8.3 million to go along with what could be about $45 million right now, which could help them get a max player like a Durant, and maybe someone that's near a max player, whether that's Kemba Walker or somebody like that. And then at the same time, I think Bradley Beal is more attractive to a guy like Kevin Durant than a Tim Hardaway. And he's a year younger than Tim Hardaway. And I got beat up on Facebook. No, we giving up too much and this and that. And Bradley Beal is probably a top 10 two-way player in this game. He's a top 25 player in this game. The Knicks don't have a top 25 player on their team.
I'm going to say this in no disrespect intended. Normally, when you do a GM move, it's names. It's like the glitter, the flashing lights. That is a well thought out trade, not only for today, but for the future, and opening up money. I mean, then you would have, you said a max plus?
Someone close to it.
Close to a max. So now you can attract a Kemba and a Durant to go with Brett Beal and Porzingis.
Yeah.
Now you
got a formidable team.
Oh, you have the team in the East.
Yeah, you got a serious team. And with the rookies getting the experience that they get this year, they'll be perfect coming up.
And with the coach Fizdale? No, I don't know why you got big. Facebook, what's wrong with you folks? Don't be beating up on Ron. That's my job. All right, so here's the question I have for you, Rob. Not your team, so not the Knicks. What team this year most interests you and why?
It's actually the Lakers, man.
Because of Luke Walton?
No, because I want to see them fail. You know what I mean? So, and what happens is that LeBron has become like the Dallas Cowboys. Whether you like him, hate him, love him, doesn't matter what uniform he has on, doesn't matter who's in the uniform of Dallas, you're watching them. You watch Dallas games.
Rooting for him or rooting against him, you're watching.
You're watching them. You're watching LeBron. I mean, I'm staying up late to watch the Laker game. And for me, because I said that they won't make the playoffs, I got to see through it that they don't make the playoffs. You know, so I'm watching them. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things that I see on that team that's very interesting. I don't think Ingram and LeBron gets along. I've never seen Ingram pass the ball to LeBron all season. All season. He does not pass the ball to LeBron at all. He wants to be that. Now, I'm not going to say he wants to be that point forward, but he's not a catch and shoot player.
No,
he's not an off the ball player.
No.
He's got to have the ball. And what happens, it takes away from LeBron.
He's got to go.
And I think he may be gone.
He's got to go.
If they could,
my problem with the Lakers in getting rid of him now, when they had the Bradley Beal, you could have gotten rid of him and gotten Kawhi before the season began, and they refused to do that.
And see, here's the thing: I don't see him in a package for Bradley Beal because there's two of him already over there, Otto Porto and Kelly Oubre. So why would they take on a third small forward? So Bradley Beal is not the issue. Your best chance was in a Kawhi Leonard trade.
Right.
You know, right now, I don't see a trade for Ingram right now.
I've never seen anything
that will favor the Lakers.
Yeah.
Because the Lakers need a two-guard, a steady two-guard. And I don't think you could trade him for a steady two-guard right now.
And I'll tell you the team, there's a few, but the team that most interests me right now, that's not my team, and why, is the Clippers. Yeah. I mean, I'm the anti-Clippers, but I'm rooting for them in a way because of Doc, because they're doing it without any superstars. Yeah. And in a league that is going to, you have to have 2 or 3 superstars to win. Doc is showing team ball just like Carlisle did with Dallas when they beat the Dream Team or whatever they call themselves, the Miami team. Let's do it with good, solid ball players, a team concept, and getting away from having to have three big names to do it.
They have perhaps one of the best underrated or underappreciated player in the game in Tobias Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And he's playing like a poor man superstar. You know what I mean? He's just
He brings it.
he brings it
He
every
brings
night.
it. He brings it.
And you know what? He goes about it in a nice way where you can introduce him to your sister or daughter. You know what I mean? It's nothing distasteful about him, nothing that you dislike about him, but he gets the job done on a steady basis, and he's probably a 20-8 guy.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other team that does it for me is the Detroit Pistons. I mean, to just watch Casey be able to win and show his stuff, I'm kind of rooting for Blake, to do something. I was a former Detroit Piston fan, but I tell you, I tell people all the time I'm a player fan. If Grant Hill and Isaiah was there, I was a fan. But just to see the resurgence. And also, I mean, Van Gundy, a yeller, a screamer, it's showing that coaching is not about yelling and screaming, and he's getting more out of them than Van Gundy got.
It's funny. Blake Griffin has been injured throughout his career, but he hasn't been injured since he's been to Detroit. And he brings something to them, something that they haven't had in a long time, is a bona fide star. Whether you call him a superstar or not, Blake Griffin is a bona fide star.
He's a superstar.
And what happens is that he makes the game easier for others. He don't make nobody better, but he makes the game easier for them. And he's a willing passer.
He is.
And he's a playmaker.
He's playing a kind of a point power forward kind of sort of.
Somewhat. And you kind of prefer him to do that than to have Reggie Jackson stuck with the ball. And
his decision making.
And you can play him
whack
off the ball.
Right.
And then on top of that, you picked up the coach of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a good combination. But another team that intrigues me is OKC.
BVC.
Yeah, OKC.
Now you were ready to fire. What's his name?
Yeah, I was. But you know what? Schroeder.
That was a nice acquisition.
That
was the best acquisition in the offseason.
He fits what they needed because he could take the ball out of Westbrook's hand and let Westbrook play off the ball. Not only that, he can play point guard for the second unit.
We said that, yes.
He was a big upgrade than Raymond Felton. And there's a little pep in the step of OKC right now. And I think Westbrook is finding out he don't have to do it all.
We said that 2 seasons ago, I think it was. We needed someone that could be a backup, that could be a starting point guard at OKC. So someone in the fourth quarter, you take the ball out of Westbrook's hands and put it in a point guard to make those decisions. Someone that can also score if need be when you play off of him. I look at a prototypical point guard as Maurice Cheeks, and he's on that bench. And what you want is someone that can distribute the ball, but if you lay off him, can knock it down.
Right. And Schroeder is capable of scoring.
Yes.
And he makes a big difference over there, even at the expense of one of my favorite players, Carmelo Anthony.
But he wasn't at the. I get your point.
It was a trade that happened. That's what brought him there. I still stand by Donovan didn't use Carmelo right.
Yeah.
But Schroeder's coming over there. He's filling a void, and they're playing extremely well. And they played well in Westbrook's absence. And now they could be the number 2 seed for the remainder of the year.
They could be.
Bar no major injury.
They could be. Well, as we wrap this up and go to our closing comments, we talked about the teams that surprised you most. Is there any other situation at the quarter point of the season that has you scratching your head or cheering where you didn't think you would be scratching or cheering?
I'm rooting for the Rockets to fail. I really am.
Why? Is that a dislike for D'Antoni? Why?
It's part that and the way they treat Carmelo.
Yeah.
My thing is just this. If Carmelo is not part of your plan,
Let him go.
let him go. That's fine. He won't be the first person to be cut, nor the last one. But if he's not, don't just have him in limbo. I mean,
Well, I'm sorry.
when you treat someone bad things happen to you.
Rob, who's your boy? Federico? Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah. What
That's your boy?
Yeah.
Yo, Federico, man, you're a funny dude, man. I'm just gonna say that. He said, watch for Kobe to be the coach of LeBron in the future. Come on, dude, man. Yo, whatever you drinking, give me some of that, all right?
Yeah. Kobe is like the new Elijah.
No, he's the basketball whisperer, you know.
Yeah. The wing guys is coming.
Coming to him. They are.
You know
they
what I
are.
mean?
But he'll never coach. Kobe will never coach.
I don't think he'll coach.
Great players can't coach.
But I'll say this about him. He has the mannerism to be a coach, though.
No, he doesn't.
I think so.
No way.
I think he does, man.
No way.
I think he does.
No. Ask Miss Parker. That's what you have to do. Ask, what was the one, the bubble nose, the one out of Brunswick, Georgia?
Yo, but do you know Smush Parker holds a record?
What record?
Him and Kobe holds the record for the highest points scored in the backcourt.
Oh, because Kobe had 81.
I think he had 13.
Okay. That's his contribution.
They had 94.
Did he post that on Facebook?
Nah.
Smush posted that?
No, what happened? It came up on some site I saw where after the Rockets, Harden had what? He had 54, he had 56, and Gordon had 34, and they scored 90, and they said that was the second highest total for a backcourt behind Kobe and Smush Parker.
All right. On that note, we're going to go to closing comments.
You know what? Okay.
No, go ahead.
Nah, I'll save that for my closing comments.
All right. So, Rod, you go with your closing comments.
Okay. My closing comments is going to center around the Houston Rockets, especially D'Antoni and their brand of ball. D'Antoni has brought to this league the 7 seconds or less. He's brought the fast tempo, the fast pace, the scoring. But one thing D'Antoni has done over the years is more out of his welcome in a short time. His first 2 years is usually pretty good, but around year 3, he starts to wean on you a little bit. We just talked about the 90-point effort by the backcourt. They lost that game with 131 points. They lost 138 to 131. Do you know how many points were scored by the bench in that game?
No.
9 points. That is a horrific style of basketball. Anytime you score 131 points as a team and your bench scores 9 points, that is horrific. If I'm on the bench, I don't want to play the next day. I'm running up and down the court, can't touch the ball. I mean, I don't need to shoot. I don't need to score. It'd be nice. But if you want me to run up and down and play defense and not be a part of the game on the other half, that's horrific. And that starts with the coaching. And if you want your team to win, it's got to be a team effort. You have to involve everyone. Because, there's some players. Yeah, I'll give you an example. You get a guy come off the bench and block the shot, and he's the first one up the court, and you give him that pass, and he's able to finish, whether it's a layup or a dunk. You know what he's going to do? He's going to be the first one back down court.
With intensity.
And with intensity. Involve your team. That's a horrible game. That's a horrible style of playing. Harden thinking he's dancing with the stars with the ball while everybody is just standing around. This is a D'Antoni thing. D'Antoni needs to go on Houston because his 2 years is over where he had the success. Houston looks like they're not going to make the playoffs. All because of that style. They need to involve the team one way or another if they're going to be a threat at any point in this season. Otherwise, that Houston Rockets, you're done.
When you started your closing comments, I looked at Beefy because I thought you were going where I'm going. We're very close. It's very similar. And I look at the NBA today, and we're talking about how much talent is out there. and what a great state the NBA is in, and I agree with that. But then I agree with an asterisk, because whenever we have a league that a Carmelo Anthony cannot find a place, and I know Houston's got to release him so that he can, but the game is a different game. We've become a Euro game, and we've moved away from what the NBA is about, and it's all about shooting threes, picking rolls, and I watched the game, and no one ever posted up. Me and you talked about that. I watched the game, and no one, not even a guard, no one stood in the post and posted up. No one. What kind of basketball is that?
Horrific.
So, my problem, I understand there's more viewers. It's a fast pace. It's moving around, shooting threes. But it's gotten away from some of the things. And yes, I'm that old dude. Get off my lawn, whatever they call it. That's me. And I will be that guy. I'm 55. That's who I am. And that was basketball to me. This is a dumbed down, watered down version of basketball. And you can tell it by the individuals. The ones that could have played in that generation are making a difference today. Mm-hmm. I wonder, he's a great player, so he could have played in that generation, but he's such a mental midget. How would Kevin Durant do in that generation? I mean, talent-wise, he would do well, but how about the people like a Rodman getting under his skin? How about the people hand-checking him and he's a frail person? So I long for some of the old. We don't have to have it brutal, beating up each other, but give me a post player. Give me someone that can play out of the post. Yes, I'm the guy, get off my lawn, but I'd like to see basketball get back to where a center or someone is posting up, where a power forward is not a stretch that is shooting three-pointers. When you have someone that if you mess up on that, you mess around with that team, you're going to get your butt whooped. An Oakley, an Xavier McDaniel. I want those guys.
Or fast break layup.
Oh, fine.
Can we just have a fast break layup?
Thank you. So they're
doing this.
Right. Everybody going to the corners, looking for threes. I'm like, what are you doing? Lay the ball up. Well, that's a 2. That's worth more. What are you talking about? So the only team that is not trying to shoot threes, because they can't, is the Lakers. And what they're doing is speeding up the game and trying to get more possessions, more baskets, because they can't shoot threes. I get that. But give me the post. That's my closing comments. Listen, Tim, we miss you, bruh. I know you're in China. I hope you got all your chopsticks. We didn't hear from you. Yo, how does he pronounce his name? Federico?
Federico, yeah.
Yo, Federico, man, you're a funny dude, man. If you ever, does he live here or is he in New York?
He's in New York.
Yo, if you ever down here, we got to have you on Deep Hoops, man, because you're a funny dude with this Kobe stuff. I ain't going to lie to you. And Rhonda Sanders Watts, is that Rhonda from Ravens?
Yeah.
Hey, Rhonda, how you doing? All right, so we out of here. Is that my brother? No, that's Keith Winfield. What's up, fam? Yo, we're out of here on Facebook. We're out of here on YouTube and everywhere else.
New Flavor TV.
New Flavor TV. For Thurn Barney, Tim Brayboy, I am the minister.
And I'm Rod.
The straw that stirs the drink. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in to Deep Hoops. We'll see you next time. Remember, we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game that we love. Peace.